So guys, at the time of the recording of this video, this man Ronnie James unfortunately suffered a cardiac arrest a couple of days ago. Right now, it definitely looks like he's definitely gotten a lot better. Let's definitely keep this man Ronnie James in our prayers, and every other athlete that has to go through something like this, unfortunately. I couldn't start off this video without bringing this topic up, but like I said, let's definitely keep this man in our prayers. I know this man Ronnie James is probably going to be the one that'll probably get the most attention out of every single player on this USC basketball team, but guys, please turn up the volume and please trust me when I tell you that this USC basketball team is going to be a lot better than what people anticipate, and this team is definitely loaded. People don't realize that this USC team is actually bringing in many players from the last year's team that unfortunately lost in the first round to Michigan State in the March Madness tournament, and I feel like a few players that we have to note here, and a few guys that they are bringing in back that we have to talk about, are players like this man Boogie Ellis, who finished as the second leading scorer in the entire Pac-12. They're also bringing in Kobe Johnson, who finished second in the Pac-12 in steals per game, and they're also bringing in Joshua Morgan, who actually led the Pac-12 in blocks per game. And if you add Ronnie James and the other talented freshmen that they have coming in, that makes them one of the top recruiting classes to come into college. I'm telling you guys right now, from an overall perspective, this USC team is definitely going to be a lot better than what people think. Guys, if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that red button if you enjoy high school, college, basketball content in general. Join the Juice Made family. It's free. Let's get on to this video. Now, who exactly is on this USC team? What makes them so special? And what makes this team, from an overall perspective, one of the most feared teams in college basketball heading into next season? Now, I feel like we have to start this video with talking about arguably the best scorer who will probably be leading this team in scoring, who also did it last year. We have to talk about this man Boogie Ellis, and he's the player that probably has one of the more exciting games out of every single player on this team. Like I said, last season, he finished the season averaging 17 points a game, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists on 43% shooting from the field. Like I said, he actually finished as the second leading scorer in the entire Pac-12. And I know that he is a senior on this team, but I feel like in college, you need these types of players to really set the tone and the foundation for your overall team. You need players to actually bring that experience to be a top level team, especially on the collegiate level. I mean, I feel like you can see by the numbers that he's been putting up every single year that he's actually been improving every single year that he's been in college. And I personally feel like his adequate scoring style is really going to be the biggest strength for this team. I mean, like I said, he damn near led the Pac-12 in scoring. And with a guy like an Isaiah Kohler coming in, who will most likely make it easier for Boogie Ellis to get buckets in a multitude of ways, I think Boogie Ellis is even going to make another leap to potentially be a first-round pick in this coming 2024 NBA draft. Like I said, he's coming in essentially as a fifth-year senior, so I know that he's going to want to prove to many NBA teams out there that he can be a legit point guard at the NBA level, can be a scoring threat, especially anywhere on the offensive side of the ball. So like I said, I know he's going to be coming into this season with the mission, and I think he's definitely going to check a lot of boxes to be a potential first or second round pick in the 2024 NBA draft. Now, Kobe Johnson is another player that has to be on everybody and their mama's radar out there in the basketball world. 6'6" shooting guard. Heading into his junior year, he finished second in the Pac-12 in steals. He went from not starting a single game and averaging 1 point a game his freshman year to starting damn near every single game last year as a sophomore, and also improved from an overall scoring perspective, averaging damn near close to double digits. I mean, true definition of a two-way player that plays with a high level of intensity, especially on the defensive end. And I actually anticipate that that will continue heading into his junior year. He'll probably be the one that will most likely be starting for the small forward position for this team. I just feel like with the backcourt, like with an Isaiah Kohler and Boogie Ellis, they're definitely going to need some additional size and an additional defensive presence somewhere on the floor, especially from a guard forward perspective. And I think Kobe Johnson is definitely a guy that can essentially be an underrated bucket getter for this team that will make life easier for a guy like Boogie Ellis and Isaiah Kohler, who can essentially focus more on putting points on the board and doing the best they can from an offensive perspective. But guys, like I said, Kobe Johnson, definitely a guy that you have to add to your list. 6'11" Joshua Morgan, a player that will most likely be the backbone and the rim protector for this USC team. I mean, super talented, great great come up story, wasn't even ranked in high school, went to a lower tier D1 program in Long Beach State, transferred to USC, now recently led the Pac-12 in blocks per game. Like I said, I like the size that he possesses, 6'11", damn near 7 feet. Arguably one of the more important players on this team. I feel like if you're a college team and you have a guy at that size that is very dominant, who has an aggressive play style on both ends, can be a great rim protector for your team. If you notice over the past few years, any collegiate team that essentially kind of has that aggressive backbone center, they always do well in the March Madness tournament. So like I said, Joshua Morgan, in my personal opinion, he has to be that guy for this team. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, USC is going to be bringing in one of the best recruiting classes out of every single team heading into college next season. And this is actually the highest rated recruiting class for USC in program history. Like I said, bringing in 4 talented freshmen, being Brandon Gardner, who finished as the 85th ranked player in the country according to ESPN. They're also bringing in Arrington Page, who finished as the 40th ranked player, Ronnie James, who we know who finished as the 20th ranked player, and finally Isaiah Kohler, who finished as the #1 overall ranked player and the National Player of the Year, who will probably be the most important player for this team. Like I said, they all bring something unique to the table, and I do think they all will fit perfectly on this team. I feel like we cannot start off talking about these freshmen without talking about the overall leader for this team, Mr. Isaiah Kohler. In my personal opinion, I definitely feel like he will probably be the more fan favorite and arguably the most important piece for this team. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's going to be the player that has to make and will make all of this work, especially from top to bottom. I mean, we're talking about a guy who will be the facilitator, the orchestrator, the leader on and off the court, guy who will also be scoring for this team. I'm telling you guys right now, this man Isaiah Kohler can essentially do everything well from the offensive side of the ball. I definitely feel like he's going to be one of the more high usage rate players in college and all of college next season. He's a guy that can fit and play with any type of player out there on the floor, any type of unit. He's not a guy that will be out there jacking threes and whatnot. He's just a guy that will be putting players and his teammates in the right position to score. And that is exactly what I personally anticipate him to do. Guys, I'm telling you right now, he's going to get Ronnie James open looks. He's going to get Kobe Johnson open looks, Boogie Ellis, play the pick and roll game with his bigs, do the overall spill. Like I said, there's not a lot of things that this man cannot do. And there's a reason why he won the National Player of the Year last season. I personally have him going somewhere in the top 3 to 5 in the 2024 NBA draft. But guys, like I said, definitely please put this man in your notes. Arrington Page is another player that we have to talk about. He actually played with Isaiah Kohler last season at Wheeler High School. Very raw prospect and hasn't even tapped into his full potential as an overall player. I feel like he is going to complement a player like an Isaiah Kohler very well and everybody else on this team. Huge lob threat, just like I feel like every other USC big over the past few years. I feel like he's probably going to be the starting 4 or be coming off the bench after Morgan. But like I said, another player that we have to keep in our notes. Obviously, this man, Bronny James, is another player that we have to see. And another player that I feel like a lot of people have high expectations on. I feel like Bronny James is going to be bringing that defensive potential. We know what he can do from a 3-point perspective. I feel like a lot of people out there kind of have unrealistic expectations for Bronny James. Like I said, this USC team already has many talented guards on this team. Bronny James is not starting over the second leading scorer in the Pac-12. He's not starting over the #1 player being Isaiah Kohler. Bronny James is only 6'3", at most, maybe 6'2", 6'3", what some people say have him 6'4". So he's not going to be starting from a small forward perspective. So you kind of have to look at it from that sense. Bronny James is going to be the player coming off the bench, bring in a different level of play style, intensity. Like I said, I think he has to be that defensive stopper, especially whenever they play other opposing teams that have very talented guards and whatnot. I can personally see Bronny James averaging somewhere like 6 to 8 points a game, coming off the bench, hitting a couple of threes, doing what he does best. But like I said, do not come into this season and watching this team expecting Bronny James to average, 15, 20 points a game. We kind of have to be realistic, for Bronny James. Like I said, believe it or not, he's going to have to work very hard for minutes on this team. And sometimes it even makes me question if he actually should have went to USC with just the amount of talent that they already have from a guard perspective. But guys, what do you guys actually think about Bronny James joining this USC team? And like I said real quick, they actually recently picked up another freshman, being Brandon Gardner. He finished as the 85th ranked player according to ESPN. He's another guy that will be coming off the bench for this team, bringing a different level of intensity off the bench. I've actually had a chance to see him play in person a few times. There's not one specific thing that he does great on the floor. He can essentially do everything well on the floor. He plays hard. He's another player that we have to add to our notes. Guys, like I said, overall, this USC basketball team is definitely going to be one to watch for this coming season. They have good pieces on all areas of the floor, shooting perspective, the point guard perspective, the bigs, the fours, the defense. There's a lot of good things to really like about this team. I wouldn't be surprised if they surprise a lot of people with just how far they go in the March Madness tournament. Guys, I want to know what you guys think about this overall team down below. What are your expectations? How far do you think they'll go? What are your overall expectations on the team? Let me know what team you guys want me to break down next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.